What if the reason you still don't feel fulfilled has nothing to do with the amount of success you've had? It has everything to do with the voice in your head. Well, today we are going to talk about that inner critic. That inner critic that quietly runs high performers and why chasing confidence, goals, or even the next milestone never actually fixes it. If you look successful but still feel restless or not enough, this conversation is going to show you how to flip that voice and create fulfillment. When? Right now. Hey there, welcome to Be Unmessablewith, the podcast. And today our guest is Joanna Kleinman, who is a globally recognized psychotherapist, best-selling author, and founder of Mind Coaching. She has worked with thousands worldwide, including companies like Microsoft and Nike, and she helps people shift from fear-based thinking to soul-aligned living. Pretty cool, huh? She's also, the founder and creator of this groundbreaking MIND method. It's a certification program, and she is training a whole new generation of coaches and therapists and healers to guide others into lasting transformation. Her signature framework blends psychology and neuroscience and spirituality to help people unhook from their conditioned mind and actually live from their authentic self. She also has a podcast, which I was on not too long ago, and it's a top-ranked podcast called Dethroning Your Inner Critic. So make sure to check her out there. But we're thrilled that she said yes to being on Be Unmessablewith today. So let's welcome Joanna Kleinman.
Oh, I am so happy to be here, Josselyne. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have to thank Penny Spiewak, who's the person who introduced us, sort of. I mean, we kind of knew each other, but, she reintroduced us to have us have these conversations because I loved being on your show and I'm thrilled to have you on mine.
Yes, it was so fabulous that she saw the connection and put us together after all these years. Unbelievable.
I know, it's crazy. Time flies when you're living life. So tell everybody a little bit about how you wound up doing what you're doing, because what you're doing isn't just like a one path thing. It's really a mélange, as I would say in Paris,
Yes.
of different modalities and methodologies. So talk to us. Tell us how you ended up doing it.
Oh my goodness. Well, so, I mean, you and I met, I always say 100 years ago. It feels like 100 years ago, but it was back in probably like the early 90s, I'm going to say, right? So my whole, kind of childhood upbringing was in transformational thinking, right? So then I became a therapist. Long story short, had a private practice for many, many, many years and loved my private practice, but making a difference one-on-one. I knew that I could have a much bigger reach. And what I also knew was that just having people talk about their issues and not really having a very clear-cut step-by-step way of unhooking themselves from the real root of the problem, right? I knew if I created that would really make a fundamental difference. So that's how the Mind method came about. And it just sort of became this incredible program called Mastering Your Mind that I've been leading for the last 5 years. And it just made sense that the next leap was to train people in the Mind method and have it be a program where people could become officially a certified coach through the International Coaches Federation, and then take the Mind method with them into their own life of personal transformation and providing transformation to the planet. Because, and I you and I, I'm sure, do very similar work. And, we know that the more people that know how to purposefully think and feel and act and live life, the better our planet will be. So
yes, for sure. The impact is the domino effect is real, for sure.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
I'm interested to know, like, as you've been developing the accreditation program where you're training coaches, because I've done training of coaches and I trained leaders, when I was at Landmark,
Yes.
but it's a whole different thing than leading, right? I mean, it is a different animal. So talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that you've discovered for yourself to be
Yeah.
able to, embody in others what you have developed over decades.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I believe that the most important thing in bringing transformation to the world is you really have to be immersed in your own personal growth and transformation, right? And that has to be something that isn't just sort of a one and done thing, but it's got to sort of encapsulate your whole life, right? Because
I call
growth.
it brushing your being because people, you don't brush your teeth
Mhm.
once and be like, okay, my teeth are good now. That's like insane. So you've got to keep working that muscle.
Yeah, that's right. So I would say that, that is the one thing that can be a little challenging is I really I only want to work with people and train people who are ongoingly committed to their own personal growth and transformation, right? And that's not everybody. That's not everybody. So I have to be very selective about who I work with and who I train.
Yeah, it definitely is not everybody. And, people sometimes when I tell people I have 3 coaches, they go, "You have a coach? Like, then are you really a great coach if you have coaches?" I'm like, that you should never hire a coach that doesn't have coaches
Yeah.
because anybody who isn't in coaching
Yes.
can't deal with the real-time development. Like mastery is a mountain with no top. So if you think you got to the top, you're dreaming.
There's absolutely no top. Right. Right. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, your podcast is called Dethroning Your Inner Critic. So talk to
Yes.
us a little bit about what that means and how do you do it?
Yeah. So I call it dethroning because, most people, when you think about that voice in your mind that feeds you self doubt and gives you this, sort of cap on what you believe is possible, most people want to figure out how do I just eradicate that voice from my mind? How do I get the permanent sense of confidence and power and right and just know how to tap into my full potential all the time? That is not possible, right?
Yeah.
So the whole concept of dethroning your inner critic is the ability to very deeply and intimately distinguish the difference between what I refer to as your inner critic is your automatic mind, right? So
Yes.
many people, when you think about your inner critic, you think it's the voice of doubt and you're not good enough, okay? But there is a flip side to your inner critic, okay? And the flip side to your inner critic is, well, once I reach that goal or get to that level or get to that promotion or that income level or that health level or get that relationship, right? Whatever it is, people believe that's going to be the thing that's finally going to make me feel whole and complete, that's going to make my life feel whole and complete. And that's not the thing, right? And so, really giving people the ability to tap into a sense of true, deep wholeness, completeness now,
Yeah. Absolutely.
gratitude, fulfillment, joy now. And then from that place, from that foundation, then learning how to generate and create your life. That's tuning into a very different voice. So dethroning your inner critic is really moment by moment by moment being able to lean into what right are you tuning into the voice of your authentic self, or are you being guided by the voice of your your inner critic? Yeah.
Yeah. And so it is so similar to the work that I do, which is I think why we resonate so much
Yes.
because my question is are you reacting or are you creating?
Right.
Because creation is that in your language, in that authentic self.
Yeah.
And reaction is that default sort of brain activity that happens and it's the good, bad, and ugly reaction. It's not just, oh, let me panic. It's also, hey, I did a good job. Now let me take the foot off the gas.
Yes.
It's that same kind of reactive thinking, which isn't really thinking. I used to call it thoughting because you're not actively creating any thought. It's just happening in your brain automatically. So I
Yeah.
think it's super parallel to what you're creating.
Yeah. And the other, the other thing about that is that we're all so conditioned to get our sense of ourselves externally, whether that's through other people or through what we think other people think about us, or what we've accomplished. And again, that is, then you're on that hamster wheel where you're just continually running to, really it's the next dopamine hit, right? Where am I getting that next sense of, myself from? And I think it's so imperative that we understand how to get that sense of self from within instead of
Yeah.
external.
Yeah, no, I'm right with you. And I think it brings me to my next question for you, which I'm interested to hear your take on. And, when I work with high powered, high performance people, they're often really successful, but not satisfied. So I
Yes.
know you've dealt with that too. So why do you think, or what have you discovered in your work with people that, highly successful people, while they're producing results, they
Yes.
they just experience there's something missing, like that sense of fulfillment is missing. What have
Yes.
you discovered in that world?
Yes. So, what I've discovered, and I can actually also even see this within myself, right? The very reason why people might be reaching for the goals and the accomplishments that they're reaching for, again, similar to what I just said, is that idea that that's going to be the thing that's going to give them that sense of value or that sense of being enough. And so, many high powered people get to a point in their life where the truth is they've accomplished a lot. In fact, they've probably even accomplished more than they ever thought
Yep.
that they could, right? So they are looking at this life that they've built, and they're sort of at the top of that proverbial mountain, if you will, right? All the things that they prayed for and they worked for and they strived for, here it is. And they're just kind of looking at life and saying, wow, this is not giving me the experience of myself and my life that I thought it would. And that's where the real work comes, right? That's where the wake
Totally.
up call comes, right? That's where a lot of people have to really kind of now start to do the inner work to understand, where is my lack of fulfillment coming from?
Yeah, when I talk about fulfillment, I've created this thing over time where people look for fulfillment as a feeling, like an internal feeling, like I feel fulfilled. And that's the wrong place to look, because if you want true fulfillment, it's about what are you fulfilling on. So
Yes.
if you look at your authentic self and what you're creating, and in my language, your vision or your dreams,
Yep.
if you're fulfilling on something that's contextual, it's fulfillable at any moment, right now and right now, right now. You can fulfill on freedom, or you can fulfill on connection. It's not a goal,
Nope.
which is let me reach this goal and triple my revenue. And then why don't I feel fulfilled? Because you're not fulfilling on anything. You're reaching goals. That's not fulfillment.
Yes.
So I'm committed that people start to redo their relationship, rewrite their relationship to the word fulfillment, because like satisfaction, if people look for it in your feelings, I mean, you can get satisfied by, eating a hamburger or doing drugs, but it's the dopamine hit kind of satisfied, and
Yes.
it doesn't last, which
It's
is
nope.
where that whole muscle of,
Yes.
being able to create fulfillment, not get it from something, but bring it to life, is a
Yes.
whole different muscle.
Absolutely. So it's a little paradoxical, right?
Yes.
Because if you're creating, you're looking out into the future, right? You have to have a vision and you have to take those steps towards the vision. But how many of us actually ongoingly take the time to look at what we've already created and what we've already built? And I don't even just mean professionally, right? I mean, in our most intimate relationships, our friendships, the love we have, the small miracles that we experience every single day. If we're not actively looking at that on a daily basis, where is your fulfillment and satisfaction coming from if you're not really grounding yourself in the only place where your life actually occurs, which is right here in this?
Right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we talked about asking you, so I want to make sure that the listeners get access to it, is like, how can people tell if it's them, their authentic self, or if it's that voice of fear? Like, how do you discern? Because I know this is one of the toughest things, because if you can catch it, you can interrupt it. But if you
Yes.
can't catch it, you're just down the rabbit hole.
That's right. That's right. So, it's sort of asking yourself the questions like, if I'm not, if I'm not looking at what does somebody think about what I'm saying? Am I making a difference over there? Right. If there's no attention over there, right, with whether it's one person or whether it's sort of the collective masses, right? What is it that I just really deeply want to express? What is the difference that I want to make in the world? And really learning to unhook yourself from wanting to control what other people, what other people's opinion or reaction is to what you're doing or what you're saying or even how you're being. And again, it's this fine line, right? Because
Right.
we want to make a difference, right, with other people. We
And
want
have an impact on people. So you don't want to operate in a vacuum.
absolutely not, right? But it is, I call it like a come from place, right? Like a foundational grounding in which you are so clear in who you are and what you have to offer that that's where you're coming from. You're coming from your own sense of self rather than trying to force what somebody else is getting from what you're saying or from what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I have this podcast and I have all this social media content, and I have courses, blah, 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 right? And, my vision, which is in the work that I do, a context, not so much like a picture of someplace I want to get, but the context of fulfillment and freedom and making that available to people, right? Like that's where I'm coming from. Like you're
Yes.
saying, the come from places is
Yes.
freedom and fulfillment. So it's like my North Star. I measure things against that, right?
Yep.
However, being unmessable with doesn't mean you don't have those thoughts of, oh, what am I doing? Is anybody going to give a hoot about this? Like, why am I even bothering? It's like all this
Yes.
work. Is it really going to pay? So those thoughts come all the time. And I constantly have to hack. And, I've gotten it down to where when it happens, it's a pretty quick hack,
Yes.
but I have to hack it. So, and this is after 47 years of doing this work, right? So,
Yep.
why I'm saying that is for those
Yes.
that are listening, it's not about never having those thoughts.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
not
No,
about the inner critic, as you said, going away. That's
ever.
absurd. You're human and you have a brain,
Yes.
and your brain is designed to react and survive. That's its
Oh,
fundamental function.
yes.
So the more you can be aware of which part of your brain you're functioning from, the more you have access to shifting from that
Absolutely.
amygdala reaction place to your creative, thinking part of your
Absolutely.
brain. Not to get too technical, but yes,
But listen, here's the truth, right? Because I mean, I teach this because
yeah,
this is what I
exactly.
dethrone my inner critic, 100 times a day. I dethrone
Yeah,
my own inner critic, right? But so I can have a thought today, right? Like to your point, like you said, where is this all going? And
yeah. Like,
where
why am
where's
I bothering? Like, is this
taking
even
it?
going to make a difference?
Exactly, right? So I can absolutely have that thought, or I can have the thought, this is all gonna work out better than I could ever dream of, right? Now both are just thoughts.
Exactly. They're just thoughts. It's like you could have a thought about a pink elephant. It doesn't make the pink
Absolutely.
elephant real.
That's right. But one thought is going to trigger a certain chemical reaction in my brain, which is going to produce certain emotions that, again, talk about the domino effect. That has a ripple effect, not just in what I'm doing professionally, right? It's also going to make a difference, in, snapping at my husband, right?
Sure.
Or my daughter, right? So if I can intentionally plug into what I call thoughts from your authentic self. Again, they're just thoughts, But we don't recognize that just by anchoring into different thoughts, we have the ability to create very different emotions that have us having different responses, not just in what we're doing and what we're creating, but in all of the important areas that really matter in life, which again creates a very different experience of everything in your
Everything.
life, not
Yes.
just what you're creating.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And I know you're building this new program, and we had talked about, there might be a place where you wanted some coaching, and I always like to offer coaching because it's like,
Right.
thank you for being on the show. Let me offer you what I do so that I can, support you in what you're up to.
That's lovely.
So what is it you're dealing with or at the lid of,
Yeah.
that you want some support
Gotcha.
with?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I am committed to training 100 coaches a year. This program was just certified by the International Coaches Federation in May. We are now almost in August. So the certification is very new, right? I've been leading the Mastering Your Mind program for the
5
last
years.
5
Yeah.
years, right? But this is sort of stepping into different territory for me. And so, my inner critic is certainly having a heyday with this
Yes.
with this next step. Where are these prospective coaches going to be coming from, and how's this all going to go? And the other thing, Josselyne, is I'm creating an app called the Mind Method app, which again is a huge undertaking and very exciting. But again, where's this all going and how is this all going to be? So yeah, so I would just, I guess I would really like some coaching in bringing that commitment to reality.
The app or the
The
coaching program?
100 coaches.
The 100 coaches.
Let's
Okay,
just
yeah, because you
pick
can
the
use the
100
coaching
coaches. Yeah.
for the app too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would start with, what's the vision you're functioning from? And again, in my work, it's not like the goal to do 100 coaches. That's a goal. But what's the context? Like, let's say you had 100 coaches a year, then what would be available for people like a presence?
Yes.
What is it for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about that, what I really think about is people that are living in deep joy and gratitude and fulfillment in their own, in every area of their life, particularly. See, what I think are the two most important areas in your life above all else is your relationship with yourself and your relationships with the people that you love. And it's interesting what I find. I'm wondering if you find this, when you're working with people that have a lot of visions, they're not so focused on that, right? They're focused more on the masses. Like I said, like, how do I get 100 people, right? But my vision for those 100 people is not just how do I get 100 people? How do I have 100 people that not only are they providing transformation, but they are so lit up on a personal level. So that's a vision.
So again, what I would call that in the work that I do is a goal, which is
Yeah.
great. You need goals inside of functioning as a human. But let's say they were doing that.
Yeah.
Let's say they were making the difference and all of that. So what would be their like an experience of life? Is it joy? Because you said joy, gratitude, and fulfillment at the first part, and then you kind of went into sort of what they'd be doing.
Yeah.
So tell me what the space would be. It's more of a spatial conversation,
Okay.
vision.
The space would be love.
Love. Great. Okay. So if
Yep.
love is I'm just going to take a note.
Yep.
So love is the vision.
Yep.
So that'll be the context that we're operating from.
Yes.
So then the 100 coaches, is it within 12 months from now that like at the end of 12 months you've trained 100 coaches?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So then if we go 12 months out,
Yes.
if you have and inside this context of love, so 100 people have been trained, coaches have been trained, then by 9 months from now, how many would be trained?
9 months. I'm
Yeah,
going
so we're
to
kind of
say,
doing a quarter back. So if
yeah.
the end of fourth quarter, it's 100, what would we
Yeah.
be?
So I guess it would be 80.
Okay, and then 6 months from now, what would it be?
Mm.
So look at the 100 and go backwards. The thinking, if you go from here forward, your thinking is going to be limited.
Yeah.
So you want to go, if you've done 100 by the end of, and I know this podcast won't air this month, but by the end of August
Yes.
next year, let's
Yes.
say, right?
Yes.
So then what would you have done by the end of February?
By the end of February, I mean, say 50.
50. Okay, good. So then 3 months earlier than that, so we go back to November, basically. So by
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, how many will have been trained? If 100 have been by the year and 80 by the 3 months before that and 50 by February, how many by Thanksgiving?
By Thanksgiving, I'm going to say 25.
Okay. And then we're now going to go a month at a time because we're close enough. So
Yeah.
when you get 3 months out, this is just for the methodology when you do it with your app, if you want to do this methodology. So
Sure.
then by the end of October, by Halloween, let's say,
Yes.
how many will have been trained?
15.
Okay. And the end of September?
Oh, wait, you said, oh, right. End of
So by the end of Thanksgiving, so by Thanksgiving,
September.
we have 25.
I gotcha. Yep.
By Halloween, we have 15.
Yep. So end of September. End of September, 8.
Okay. So now we're basically like 2 months away, right? Because the end of September. So by the end of August, which is only 4 weeks from now,
Yeah.
how many will you have trained in the next month? Now we're going to go forwards. So
Yeah.
when you get a month out,
Yeah.
you go from here. How many have you trained so far? Let's see where we are.
I've already.
Okay, good. So we're already at 3.
Yes.
So we have 97 more to go. Okay, good. So by the end of August, if we'll do 8 by the end of September, how many by the end of August? You've already done 3.
Right. So by the end of August, I'm going to say.
Okay. So now we want to start creating. So that's your milestones, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I can email this to you, but we got 100, then 80, then 50, then 25, then 15, 8, 5, and we're currently at 3.
Yes.
So the question is, what actions, because those are just milestones. That's not going to give you anything other than targets, right? So
Yes.
what actions do you need to take to produce those 2 more for this month? Because how long does it take to train them? If by the end of August it's 2 more people, is it a
Well, it's a 6-month program.
So you won't have, so now this is perfect. This is why this reveals what's missing.
Yes.
Either structure, because if it's a 6-month program, then by the end of the year, they have to have been in by 6 months earlier.
That's right. I mean, they'll be enrolled, but they won't be trained. That's true. They won't be trained.
So then, but you can't possibly train 2 more people by the end of August, or even
not fully trained. No,
exactly.
They can enroll, but they can't. But you're right, they can't be trained.
Yeah. So then you have to redo these numbers, and you have to look at, okay, so, but this is perfect. And for those of you listening, when you start doing the backwards planning, what gets revealed are who's missing from your team.
Yep.
Whether it's clients or, marketing people or assistants or whatever.
Yep.
Or what systems are missing.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Like what automations. So if you need to have people in for 6 months, then we've got to look at, okay, how many people have to be registered?
Yes.
By whatever time.
Well, and
what are you seeing?
Well, it's interesting because, one of the ways that I do this program is it's not even a one-on-one program. It's small groups of people, because I do believe that we get so much transformation by seeing ourselves in other people and vice versa. So that's always how I've led the Mastering Your Mind program. That's how I'm going to lead the certification program, in small groups, under 10 people per group. So when I'm thinking about these 100 people and I was thinking more like enrollment, right? And so I would have different cohorts at the same time. Let's say like 4 or 5 different cohorts of people getting certified at the same time. But Yeah.
So you could change these numbers to be 100 people registered for your program
That's
by
that's
the
right.
end of the year, but
That's
they won't be trained, which is
that's right.
fine, but that's
Yes.
just you're writing this plan, so you get to say what it is.
That's right.
So if we're gonna go and just switch everything to instead of trained, registered,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay,
Yes.
then what actions need to happen in the next month to
Yeah.
have registered a minimum of 2 more people? Because really you need to be planting seeds for the 5 more and the 15 more and the 500 more, like that. So
Yeah.
what actions
Okay.
produce
Well,
registrations?
so one of the actions that I literally just got back from vacation, so this is like, pedal to
Perfect.
the metal now, right? I am gonna be creating an affiliate link, and I'm gonna be reaching out to people, coaches, therapists, business leaders that would come across people that are interested in becoming certified coaches and giving them an opportunity to talk to them about my program and and get a percentage of the
Great.
enrollment. Yep.
So let's just take the affiliate link thing. So by
Yes.
when, what are the actions? Because that's a result, not so much an action.
Gotcha.
So what are the actions that go into creating an affiliate link? Like, what do you have to do? Do you have to write copy? Do you have to make a list of people that you're going to send it? Like, what are the actual actions that have to happen?
I
And
mean,
for
yeah.
those of you listening, this is where people get all messed up
Yep.
because they come up with results, but they don't actually have it broken down into the actions. So, therefore, when you go to schedule it in your calendar, which is the next thing I'm going to tell you to do,
That's right.
it's not actionable. So you're like, "Oh, create affiliate link." Like, that's so conceptual that
Yeah.
it's like, what does
Yeah.
that mean? Go
Yeah.
into Thrivecart, write the copy for a like, what are the actions? So,
Yeah.
that was more
So
for
it
other
is.
people.
So it's write the copy.
Uh-huh.
It's get the legal copy that's needed for that as well. And it's getting a list of people that I'm going to be reaching out to with this opportunity as well.
And probably you're gonna need to draft an email to those people, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
let's just take those 4 actions.
Yep.
So it's write the copy. How long is that gonna take?
Let's say an hour.
Okay, good. And what about getting the legal copy?
Well, that's going to be written by somebody else, so that should hopefully that won't take too long. Hopefully, maybe a few days. Yeah.
So you're gonna have to then ask somebody to do that? Is that the action on your part?
Correct. Yes.
So
Yes.
do you
Yeah.
have the person
I do.
already? Okay. So how long will asking them to write it take?
Well, I just had a meeting with this individual this morning, so I think they're getting that back to me by Friday. Today is Monday, so
Okay,
they're
good.
getting that back to me by Friday.
Perfect. So then if that's what they said, then I would put a note on your calendar,
Yeah.
follow up with so and so if I haven't received the copy by 3 o'clock,
Yeah.
so that you have it in your calendar, not in your brain. And
Brilliant.
then how long will it take you to draft the email that you're going to send to people?
Uh, Again, about an hour.
Okay. And how about making the list of people?
I'm going to give myself. I'm going to give myself 3 days for that. Yeah, because I really want it to be a comprehensive list. And
So is it going to be an hour a day? Is it going to be 2 hours a day? Is it going to be a half hour a day? Because 3 days is not real
yeah,
that you're going to spend three
right.
days,
I'm going to say an hour each day.
Okay, good. So
Yes.
now the next step for planning anything is to now put this in your calendar. So when are you going to have that hour to write the copy? When are you going to have the hour a day and making a recurring occasion for the making the list?
Yes.
Scheduling the hour for the draft, scheduling the get the legal copy back. And then, in your plan, you're going to have to look at, okay, when are you going to send out this email to everybody? Because you got to have the legal copy first. So you have to get a by when from that person if they're not going to do it by Friday. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's
I
all got to
do.
be in your now, if you build this out in your calendar,
Yes.
that's now going to be a plan that is executable.
Yeah.
You created it in Word, and now you're going to execute it in action. So the
Yes.
only thing that could F this up is if you don't do what you said.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Now, then you're going to be the registrations, right? So that's one action, but that's not the only action to produce registrations.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you're going to have parallel pathways. If you, again, if you do the same exact work with it and put it in your calendar, it'll be executable. Otherwise, it'll start to become like overwhelm.
Yep, yep, yep. Yes, absolutely. So I can do all of that this week. I will
Yeah,
take an hour tomorrow, and tomorrow's Tuesday, an hour tomorrow, an hour Wednesday, an hour Thursday. I will have the email drafted with the legal copy by Friday, and it will go out on Monday.
perfect. So Monday, you're going to send out all these things. Then you're going to be tracking registrations, obviously. But I
Yes.
think you might want to come up with a metric, Joanna, of partners. So you want to have 20 people say, I'm just making up that number. You don't,
Yes. Yes.
20
Yes.
people say yes to promote to being affiliates.
Yes.
So you have two kinds of metrics that you're looking at right now, partners and registrations.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
create a plan for both. So by the end of next week, the milestone, I want to have 5 partners have said yes, or what I'm making, again, making
Sure.
up the numbers. Don't get
Yeah.
stuck with what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. Of
But
course.
do the same thing. So then each day I would do, but let's say each week, you're tracking where am I at with these numbers. And if you have 0 registrations by the end of 2 weeks and your commitment is 2 by the end of August, 2 more
Yeah.
by the end of August,
Yep.
you got to start looking at what are the effective actions and what are the ineffective actions. Like what am I doing or not doing
Yes. Yes.
that is producing this undesired result? Or
Right.
conversely, let's say you have 10 registrations
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Right.
Then you redo all your milestones also, but you look at, okay, what were the actions that I took that produced these results? Because you're going to take more of those actions because
Yes.
that's working.
Yes.
So
Brilliant.
the debriefing is really important to keep at the source of the results you're producing or not producing.
Yes. Yep. That's great. That is really
Okay.
good coaching. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. It'll just,
Yeah.
and if you do it, even if you fail at the 2 registrate, whatever, right?
Right.
You will be at the source of your failure, not wondering and having to throw spaghetti against the wall.
Yes. Yes. For sure. For sure. And I love this approach, because the other issue about failure, and again, this is my inner critic used to drag me down the rabbit hole of failure. And to your point, all it is okay, these actions aren't producing what I want to create. Okay, what's next? Right. Yep.
Exactly. It's like, what have I not done? Or if I don't know how, who do I know that does know
Yeah.
how to do
Right.
this so I
Yes.
can get them on my team?
Yes. Yes.
Because ultimately it's not about you personally producing these results. It's
It's
about
not.
being able to have this impact, right? I mean, I just recently did a free workshop. So I was like, we had a goal to have, I don't remember how, I think it was 150 people in the workshop. And so we had a whole backwards plan and whatever. And in the first 3 weeks, I saw we were, failing each week. And the person I was working on it with, I was like empowering her to do the whole thing. I was like, well, are you at the source of it? And she wasn't. So we stopped
Mhm.
everything and I said, let's just stop the game
Yeah.
and look at what are we actually going to produce here. And we did exactly what I just did with you
Yes.
and reset our goal because it was not real. Like, just like
Right.
we did, you just said,
Yeah.
oh, 100 people train. That's not going to happen. That's not real.
No.
So
Nope.
we were like, okay, so now here's the new goal because we weren't willing to take some of the actions that it would have taken to get to the 150 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just being at the source of the performance, and the performance is all actions or inactions. It's not
Yeah.
mindset, it's not mood.
It's not.
It's if you take these 1 plus 1 equals 2, and if it doesn't equal 2, you got to look at the 1 and the 1 and to see, okay, which one of these is off.
Absolutely. And I think that all of the work that I have done and continue to do on myself, the one thing I can say is that I don't sabotage the actions, right? Whereas
Perfect.
a lot of other people, you can sabotage the actions out of fear, and you might not even know it. So I'm going to put this in my calendar.
Most important thing is the
Absolutely.
calendar.
As soon as we're
Yeah,
done with the podcast, I'm literally going to put it in my calendar and schedule time to do this with myself.
beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know you have a gift for our listeners that you wanted to offer.
Ooh.
So tell us about that and we'll put it in the show notes so people have an easy way of linking to it.
Yes, yes. So there is a master class that I created, and it is only $47, and it is a wealth of information. It is like I'm incredibly proud of it. And so it is about the hidden truth of transformation and how to create your future. So I'd love to offer that to your listeners. Yeah.
Wonderful. I will definitely put the link in and you can find out more about Joanna and how to work with her. And if you're a coach, maybe you want to get accredited in this program. So that
Yep.
information is all going to be on her links. So we are thrilled to have had you. It's always so good talking to you.
So great to talk to you. I am so glad that Penny got us reconnected. This has been just so fun. And thank you so much for your brilliant coaching today, Josselyne.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Thanks for being coachable. As you know, as a coach, your coaching makes no difference if there's no listening for it. So
That's so
I
true.
appreciate the opportunity to contribute to you as you've contributed to me.
It's great. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for today.
Absolutely. And thanks everybody for listening or watching, depending on how you get your podcasts. And
Yeah.
make sure to do what you do with podcasts, like and subscribe and share the episode with anybody that you think could use some of the information that we talked about today and access to, especially coaches that want to develop themselves in Joanna's program. Make sure to share this link so that they can hear everything she has to say. But we will see you on the next episode of Be Unmessable With. If you recognized yourself in this conversation, that's not random, that's awareness. So share this episode with someone in your life who looks successful but seems maybe a little stuck for themselves. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss what we're building here together. And if you want to discover your level of unmessablewithness, just take my free 3-minute quiz and you will find out your unmessable with archetype and the next steps to develop yourself at the next level of unmessablewithness. And remember, fulfillment isn't something you chase, it's something you create. My name is Josselyne, and I will meet you in the next video.